Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. Hope you have a wonderful day. In today's video, I'm gonna go through to you, the difference between apartment living and suburbia living. So in the past few years, when we first started on our journey, we've been living in a big city in Sydney. A typical scenario of the city would be one, crowded, lots of people, and it's always bright, it's always busy. It up to the stage where I feel like we don't have time to do whatever the necessary activity that we need to do as a family in that instance. Now since we're living in Brisbane, now we're living in a house and everything sort of changed. And the fact that I'm not financially stressed anymore, the life that I've gone through so far, the journey that I've gone through so far has changed dramatically. It's only been maybe about, say, 10 years ago or so where I was financially stressed, where I didn't even have enough money in the bank to feed my family. Every night is just very stressful, and where I can't go to sleep properly. The only thing I can think about is like, when can I go to work again? When can I go to work again? And that life, going to work just to make the ends meet, even though it's not enough. So yeah, that was very stressful side of my life. And then from then on, I was able to turn that around, so that way all of my property, all of my burden anyway, when it comes to personal finance, was able to turn that around to make a positive side of it. So give you a little bit more info. About 10 years ago, just under 10 years ago, between my wife and I, we had about 4 properties or so, 4 or 5 properties, I think. Yeah, 5 properties. And that was giving us in debt of roughly about $1.5 million. All in the pure of fact that with all the information that we gathered, we had a portfolio of $1.5 million, but it's actually a debt worth $1.5 million. All because of the information that we gathered. In order to create wealth, you actually have to build a property portfolio. I didn't understand this. We didn't understand it, that there are 2 type of factor when it comes to property investing, whether it's in terms of your cash flow. The cash flow, I guess now is the one key factor that you should consider when you're actually purchasing a property, because that would change the trajectory of your life and what your income going to be. So I'll give you an example. At one stage we had, let's say, 4 properties, one property that's costing us $200 a week. If you're earning $1,000 a week, $200 a week is probably not a big deal. You probably look at that as an, hey, that's okay, because you're looking at the long-term longevity of it, that the property will be, the value of the property would exceed than what you're paying. It's like a forced saving bank account, let's say. That's how I see when I see people that have a negatively geared property, where it's costing you a lot more than how much it's actually supposed to be generating. So we looked at a property. It should actually, what I wanted it is actually a positively geared property where it's generating more income that would compared to your expenses. So there's this thing called negatively gearing, where it's actually the cost of the property loss, for example, to me, and at the end of the year, at the end of the financial year, you get some sort of cashback or so from the government, because you're using that as a wealth vehicle, which I don't understand in the whole entire concept. It doesn't register to me, and then I realized this is not for me. It's great if you earn hundreds of $1,000s, but if you're just an average person, which I was, and only earning a small amount of money, you would not be able to sustain that type of portfolio where it's costing you money week in, week out. You know, for example, again, $1,000 income, and then you've also got $200 per week, not including any of your, I guess, day-to-day expenses, and that would mean overall at the end of the week you've got about $800 or so to play with. And then you have to take into account also, you know, your expenses, your living costs, your transportation, food, and maybe rent if you're renting or so. Now it looks sound great, and then the property value probably got shooting up into whatever it is that you purchase them. My example would be $300,000 to $400,000 or so, and then you withdraw the equity and take it out and put it to another, buy another investment property. Withdrawing equity would also mean your repayment is gonna go up, which it did to us. So the repayment goes up, your property negatively geared, it costs you $200 a week, and then you buy another property because you withdraw the equity from one and buy another one, and let's assume that they'll be out of pocket again every week of $200. So now from $1,000 income, you'll be losing $400 per week from property one and property two, and now you've only got $600 to play with. Now, if you're still living at home and have no expenses, at $600 is probably still okay. But once you move out of home and have children, putting into the calculation and the running cost of a family, 1 or 2 children, that will throw you out of whack. And that's what happened with us. We accumulated 4 property. I got up to about $1.5 million in terms of debt, not valuation, because that's how much we actually borrowed from the bank. Life can be really stressful when you're earning very small amount and lots of expenses when it comes to the property. So because I put a lot of pressure, between my wife and I, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves, that would also mean it deteriorate our relationship or so. So when we're doing that, we weren't able to go out, we weren't able to go on holiday. Not even that, we can't even afford to buy McDonald's. I mean, it's not something lavish eating at McDonald's, but hey, that was sort of my benchmark. I was like, this is not right. At a certain point, how is it that I am unable to buy I guess a meal at a very on a fast food type of area? And in my thought process, in the fast food is actually a lot cheaper compared to actually buying at a restaurant or so. So now fast forward where I am right now, 10 years later or so, here we are living in a house. Instead of living in a big city, we live a little bit, I guess, suburbia. We moved from Sydney, Australia to Brisbane, and life in here is a lot quieter. Because it's quiet, it gets dark quite quickly at night. It would also mean we go to bed a lot earlier, because there's not a lot of things to do in here compared to when we were in Sydney. Because in Sydney there's always things to do. In a big city there's always things to do. There's not a lot of things to do in suburbia of Brisbane, so we go to bed a lot earlier. Because we go to bed a lot earlier, we actually get up a lot earlier. So everything in here is a lot slow pace, and because of that we're well rested. And on top of that is because we are not close to shops, we have to drive everywhere. That's the downfall. We have to drive everywhere. The good thing is, because we have to drive everywhere, we don't really spend a lot of money, and there's not a lot of cafes or restaurants within walking distance, so we're not really influenced by the marketplace around the area. So that was kind of interesting, the difference between living in this big city and where it's always high-rise fluorescent lights turned on everywhere. Even if we put the blinds You can still see the lights outside. There's noise pollution, but now we have birds chirping instead of a noise pollution, and that what wakes me up in the morning, instead of having an alarm clock. Feeling the fact that now we have feel abundance when it comes to wealth, when it comes to lifestyle and health as well. So yeah, like I know this is just my 2 cents based on my own experience, and I was able to turn that around from having financially stress from property portfolio that was minus more than what we can chew and unable to do just the day-to-day activity or day-to-day expenses, and to where I am now in short time of 10 years. And now we're looking at also, well, myself anyway, looking at, we went from minus $1.5 million, and then we were break even, and then we're able to positively geared or make a positive cash flow properties. Instead of minus $200 per week becomes plus $2,000 a week. Cash out our investment property, and then putting all the money in the market, a different type of investment, using ETF as our vehicles now. And life has been a little bit all over the shop. Not all over the shop, is like it's going in a better way. It's been going upwards, let's say. So this is just my journey. This is based on my experience. I mean, you're welcome to follow me as you go along. But yeah, I think, you know, there was a certain stage of my life where I didn't think that I was able to do this. There was a lot of doubt as we go along. In fact, till this day, there's still a lot of doubt. I mean, as we go along, as we have the progress, it might be a bit different, but life has been a little bit better if you have a better financial backing on it. But yeah, anyway, that's just my 2 cents, guys. This is just an update. If you like this type of content, don't forget to subscribe, comment. See you guys next video. Bye.